Hello, greetings, and welcome back to another session of the course titled Academic Speaking and Presentation Skills. Yes, today we are going to learn the art of oratory in today's session. So, I'm certain we are not alien to the topic art of oratory. What are we going to learn in today's topic is going to be mesmerizing, right? We all knew that yes, art of oratory is the key. But what are the factors that will be building art of oratory, right? So let's see what we are going to cover in today's session. The outline of the session is first knowing exactly what the art of oratory is, what oratory skills could be developed, right? Again, we are going to see the impact factor of being a good orator or impact factor required for good oratory, right? That is good delivery. And then we are going to see the effectiveness of controlling the audience. Yes, audience plays a major role when it comes to your oratory skills. It is all analyzing the audience, it is all scanning the audience, it is all depending on the audience whether you become a good orator or not. So if the audience comes disinterested, if the audience comes suffering from a various tedious journey, we are going to see how audience can be irresponsive and yet you become a good orator. So this effectiveness of controlling the audience factor, right, required in oratory skills. We are also going to see the history of what good orators are and their style. We will definitely study, at the end, the summary of what this history, effectiveness of controlling the audience and everything in capsule has taught us, right? So without wasting further time, let's move on to the next topic.
Okay, so we start with the very first, you know, slide of the title, which is what are oratory skills? Now, when we have identified the term oratory, oratory leads to vocal cords, the way we speak, right? And do we require specific skills to speak as well? Yes, definitely it does. Oratory is not just speaking in general, it's not just communicating. Oratory is giving out speeches. Okay. And while we are addressing, while we are giving out speech, while a lot of people are listening to us, while there is the dependency of it, we require certain skills to make our speech more impactful, to connect to everyone who is listening to us, right? Impactful is basically to have fulfill the purpose of why are we saying what we are saying. And communication is very different than general conversations that happens in a day-to-day life, an address that is made in a meeting, or an address that is done in a general manner. Oratory skills is performed in front of the unknown, right? And that is what it makes us more difficult, and that is why there are skills that are required for oratory. Oratory skills refers to the skills of delivering speeches in front of an audience. It is generally referred to as art of public speaking. So there is a mass, there is a public, there is a gathering, and you are addressing that gathering. It could be known, it could be unknown audience, right? And majorly it is unknown audience. So what is the key underlying feature over here? That is basically this audience factor. While we are giving a speech, while we are talking to somebody, how would you feel if you have no audience? And in today's time, oratory skills are rather more important because we are connected with social media. Because even if we do not have an audience at large at the very right front, right, we will have the audience which is available on internet. It could be multi-ethnicity audience, right? It could reach to a beyond the bounds of our nation. It could reach to an international level. So therefore, oratory skills are definitely the skills that an individual needs to develop. right? Especially if the person is associated with the field of politics, if the person is associated with the leadership roles, if the person is associated to, particular community and is in charge of it. So therefore this particular skills are very much relevant. And anyways, even for a common individual as you and I, if we learn this oratory skills, the command of giving out speeches, it would be very easy and helpful for us to connect to people in our regular conversation as well. It only helps you to play with your vocal cords, right? So therefore oratory skills are quite contemporary, but at the same point of time, not just contemporary and relevant, it is also very important for individuals to learn. In group or club gatherings, individual often get chance to present their ideas en mass. Okay, we never know when you might be offered a chance to connect with the audience, to represent your thoughts, to represent your ideas. Presentations, when we say, right, generally presentations have happened while somebody has put certain data on PPT and they are just reading it out. They could also be, a place where you present your thoughts and ideas in a different manner. So yes, PPT could be an addition to it, but however, there could be a speech that you give out ahead of your presentation that is made. It would be in front of the known audience, so definitely it cannot go with audience at a larger stake or unknown audiences. But however, could also learning oratory skills could help us at multiple excelling multiple other skills, presentation skills, be it group discussion skills, be it interview skills. Everywhere oratory skills are more reflected and are working as an underlined skills that will some way or the other help you from within. Okay, so one who is successful is able to put up his or her thoughts clearly and persuade the audience, and is identified to be good orator. Orator is basically somebody who is able to persuade the audience, to move the audience, touch the audience through the words, through the ideas, through the thoughts, and the way the person is representing it. Right? So we need to understand that oratory skills are skills which are definitely looked up to for a leader and everyone else, but at the same point of time, it is also associated to the common people of you and I. Right? Next we have impact of good oratory. Now, what is impact of good oratory? Right? Basically, oratory is, or the orator is a person who is going to give the speech. And oratory is basically everything that is required in the speech. Speech is called as oratory, right? So, what is going to make your speech more good, more impactful, more effective? So, there are five major components that you can see through the diagram, right? It cannot go without any process. Everything has to have a process, and if we follow those process correctly, there are high chances to make your oratory, that is your speech, more impactful, and you ultimately becoming a good impactful orator, right? So that is what we need to understand. The five major characteristics that are required to go in the process are basically first, content preparation. What do you require to speak in the speech? Then with it we have eye contact. Eye contact is a part of body language, right? At the same point of time, we have clear articulation, that is, we speaking correct pronunciation. Okay, we then have voice modulation, that is a vibration of your vocal cords, using it to the best of it. And then we command the pace, that is, we keep a track of time and we speak accordingly. If we go one after the other, minding all of these and implementing all of these at time, there are chances that our speech goes out to be A, viral, B, impactful, touches the great or huge amount of audience. Okay, so a good orator will always have command over this following things as shown in the figure, utilizing confidence and potential of the orator, right? An individual success is marked majorly by analyzing these factors. So, how do we prepare a content? So, if I'm supposed to give a speech on, so to say, climate changes, okay, very common factor, climate change, and if I want to give a speech on that, I need to have preparation of, content. I need to have where are the climate changes happening, what specific in climate change is I'm addressing to. Again, data of global factors which are affecting, again with the same point of time statistics that is required to validate what I say, right? So content in terms of a lot of research is to be put in to what I want to inculcate. I need to have knowledge about it. And not just knowledge would be, enough. I need to put it, I need to organize it in a way, one after the other, that it makes complete sense. Okay, it leaves more impact. So I start, if I want to make a preparation of, a speech on climate changes, I'm going to start with, creating effect of how many places are affected by climate change. I'm going to show the pictures and image of it. I'm going to speak the numbers of it. That there are these many places across the countries that we see. These many places are affected, right? Major reasons that are affected, because of which these regions are affected. So reasons are X, Y, Z. Okay, and then I'm going to say that how much level of impact while they are affecting, what is the percentage of impact that these people are suffering from. So then I would say over here 50%, over here 60%, over here 75%, and one after the other I will increase the tendency of that impact. And eventually I'll say, if we do this, if we continue and if we ignore this, these are the repercussions of it, and I will involve you and I into those repercussions where we might end up suffering. And that is how involving everyone and every validated content that I have put in, I'm going to say that it is the alarming reason of discussing global or climate changes. Now, do you see the organization of it? Right? पहले मैं बता दूं, if I, say this in the very starting itself, that, we it is important for us to address global changes because it could involve you and me. All of us could suffer, and therefore, see, already these many things are suffering. So, therefore, it is required for us to pay attention to global changes. This would not make that much of impact. But how I told you about the CDs of how we put reasons above this, that, right? Every individual may change the organization of how do you formulate the speech, but at the same point of time, the preparation matters. Okay, we cannot simply collect the data and keep it as it is. We cannot simply again just organize and give out no details or no concreteness towards what we are speaking. So, content preparation, the very first part, is very important. Once we identify that, we move towards the body language, the eye contact. Most of the time it happens, and being in an institution, I see people in an authority who are taking up mic now and again, but because the data is organized, it is a speech that is already written on the piece of paper. Generally, they miss out making the eye contact. Now, what we need to understand is this, right? If we are even if we are utilizing a piece of paper, or if we are utilizing the cue cards, or if we are utilizing XYZ, material, we need to understand that reading is one thing and oratory is the second. And oratory is basically giving out that speech. It is not reading out the speech. And while you are giving that speech, it has to formulate that impact with, specific command. And if you are not looking at the audience themselves, how do you know what are they asking for? How do you know what they are in requirement of? So if you see to the audience eye to eye, whether you know them or you do not know them, right, it is going to make more impact.
And that is why eye contact I have mentioned over here with the body language. Okay, body language is definitely one part of it. I cannot be putting my hands inside my pocket and delivering the whole speech. It requires the use of natural flow of hands, right? The gestures that are required. It requires definitely broad shoulders and high spirit. Lynching in front of the table or in front of the mic doesn't happen. So therefore, body language definitely yes, but eye contact is the key, right? Oculisis is what we say in non-verbal languages. That is the movement of eyes. It cannot be staring at one person. It cannot only be looking at one portion of the audience. Your eyes must run across the audience. Your eyes must be on the left hand side. Your eyes must go on the right hand side. You must meet the eye contact in front of you, not above the audiences, but with meeting eyes with the audiences, right? So do not pretend to make an eye contact, but make an eye contact with people so that you know that they are understanding what you are trying to say, and at the same point of time, it has that level of impact that we desire. Okay, then we have clear articulation. I'll, give you certain examples of how articulations are not very clear. The impact of a good orator is a good orator will always have command over the following shown in figure. Now, what happens is impact. It is impact, right? Good orator, it's orator, right? Or oratory, right? Then, uh, will always, it is always over the following. Following, it is following and following, though it is per and for are different. We need to, it is not following, or it is not following per, but it is following for, right? So that is how we pronounce it correctly. These are the common signs when we are learning from our native language. Many of us would be, have come over here studying in vernacular languages. So be it Gujarati medium, be it Hindi medium, these are the common pronunciation that are misspelled, and that is why we need to be very careful. We have seen how phonemes work, right? It is not pour, it is four. So that is why pa, fa, ta, da. These are kind of pronunciation that we need to be very careful with, okay? Correct articulation, correct vibration of vocal cords, right? Emphasizing on where it is required to be emphasized. All of these things would be part of good oratory. Okay, voice modulation, as they say. What is voice modulation? A good orator will, modulate the voice, saying that I need to know this is what it is required. Now, I need to know. I am focusing on me, right? This is what is required. Now, this I'm going to speak for a longer period of time. I need to know this is what it is required. I could say the same thing in the simple form. And when I raise my voice, I emphasize certain words. This is called as voice modulation. At the same point of time, I cannot be speaking something very fast. At the same point of time, I cannot be speaking something very slowly that it does not make sense. So pace is basically command of paces. You need to know when to speak hastily. You need to know what you need to cover out very fast at the same point of time with the voice modulation, and at the same point of time knowing that it gives audience time to comprehend what you are trying to say. Comprehend, they try to understand. You need to leave the audience with that space of mind wherein you are not just giving or bombarding information to them, they are understanding it. Okay. So impact of good oratory will include all of these. Clear articulation and voice modulation lies at the very bottom of it, because of which, anything that you are going to prepare, make eye contact with, or command the piece is going to be more successful than ever. So please see to it. The very first is content preparation, and the bottom line is voice modulation and clear articulation, right? And the next two that you have at the sidelines are the, perfect reasons that will help you to excel and make you different than the others. So these are the good, impactful things to follow, a process to follow to make your speech perfect, right? And make your delivery perfect. Next, we have effectiveness of controlling the audience. Audience plays a major and pivotal role in any kind of oratory that we perform. So, any kind of speech that we give, right, we need to be very careful with the audience. Knowing your audience is a key factor, right? How is it a key factor? Knowing your audience is basically identifying who your audience is, right? Their age, their gender, their culture, their ethnicity, their interest area, their previous knowledge that they might have, their backgrounds, and everything. Because when we know this, we are not bombarding something in air. We know that this particular thing that I say will touch this number of audience. We know that this, if I say, it is going to touch this number of audience. It's going to target your words, your organization of speech factors should target different level of audiences. One which is, smart enough, one which is okay to be understanding and comprehension, one which is slower. Okay. So everything you can know about the audience, you must know about them. Audience has always been considered as an unseen impact factor for a public speaker or an orator. Okay, they control the success, and that is why, see, instead of building a castle in air, it is always good to have a piece of land, and that is why who has invitation been given to. And if we are aware about this, if we are aware about who is going to be participating member in the audience, we will be able to, make a good impact of whatever comes out in terms of our speech, right? First is the knowing the audience. There are four figures and four directions. So therefore, second is command over the audience. Knowing them, how are we going to make command over them? Gaining audience attention is a key role, right, to be played. And how are you going to play that? You are going to keep specific details for every targeted audience, and not just that, you are going to look them in the eye. You are going, the moment you see that there is a digression, interest, people are not understanding, people are yawning, people are more interested in seeing their mobile phones, you can quickly use the presence of mind to target those different kinds of audience who are distracting, who are digressing, or at the same point of time who are non-participative. Okay, command over the audience is must. So the moment you see that these are the things that you are doing, these are the catch calls that you are making during giving your speech, people will pay attention to you. Okay. Then interact with the audience. Definitely, audience is bound to go sleep if we do not talk with them, if we do not make them the part of our speech. And that is why it is very necessary to ask questions at regular intervals of time, to involve them in certain practices, demonstrations, or various other things. Whatever your speech topic is, including, right, accordingly, you need to make an impact. You need to make an interaction, right? Dealing with the negatives. Dealing with the negatives is there will be audience, right? Who would be sitting throughout silently, but at the very end, because they do not have the patience, they might try to put up, a difficult time for you, trying to play music silently, from one corner, not revealing their identity. Somebody, trying to give you a hard time during the question and answer sessions. After your speech is done, they will throw questions at you instead of you throwing at them, right? And would want you to answer something which is irrelevant, something that might only be uh, affecting to a certain portion of the audience. So all of these are important factors. There will be negative people in the audience as well, and to control them, to hold them is the key quality of an orator. अगर कोई ऐसा आ जाता है, if somebody as such with negative tendency comes to you, what are you going to do? Are you going to say, shut up, you are a negative tendency, move out of my speech? We cannot do that. Audience is the one who is going to judge us, right? Audience is the one who is going to say whether our speech was good, bad, impactful, not impactful, relevant, irrelevant. So though they themselves might be irrelevant, it is we who are judging them. Instead of it, try conceiving what they are trying to say. After those thoughts, after conceiving those thoughts, we need to comprehend, make them understand of whatever they have spoken is relevant, irrelevant, or humbly say that this I do not think is relevant to the topic. I would like to move ahead. So there are techniques, there are tactics to control this. Okay. Generally, it doesn't happen like that, but most of the time, if it does, you need to control it very quickly, sharply, and with full presence of mind. Okay. So unseen impact factor is the audience, and audience play a key and pivotal role in how does your speech goes, right? We next have history of good orators, and they have their own different style. Four pictures that you see on the screen. Do you identify who are these? I give you a minute. First one, definitely we all know the current Prime Minister of India, right? What would you like to say about him? What who is the person next to current Prime Minister? Yes, he is the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, right? Then we move to again the competitive country, one who have always been in battle. One is Barack Obama, correct? And the other is Kamala Harrison. The reason to put the photos over here is all of these four people you might know they are present and they are highly discussed, right? Three of them are currently living and highly discussed in politics. Other is has laid a mark on Indian audiences. So, be it his speech of Quit India movement during 1947, right, where he has told, Britishers to leave India with much impact than anyone else, with the idea and theory of ahimsa and non-violence. We know how he speaks with very, modest tone. He says that what is required, and he addresses everyone with that courtesy and kindness. Whereas we have a current prime minister who definitely has courtesy, kindness, and associates everyone as their friend, mitro, right? But at the same point of time, we need to understand that he has authoritative voice. He do not say that, this is what we are going to do. We must behave like this. He says that this is exactly what is required in current India, and you are to do it, right? It is having a commanding order. The other person has a requesting tonality. Okay. Barack Obama, we all know that he has, a different style altogether, representing a different community, a very learned person, one with words. If you see the words that he has used in his speech, amazing man to describe the certain scenarios as it is, right? So that is Barack Obama. And we have Kamala Harrison, who targets people, pinpoints them, and gives the exact details which are going to be more useful for audience to take completion on. So these are the things that we need to keep in mind. There are good orators. There are a number of good orators. Okay, if I want to talk about, Mahatma Gandhi, he is the person who started giving speeches, collecting people together, speak about what is there during post-modern India, right? So before we can say that Bombay was not Bombay, Mahatma Gandhi had started giving up speeches since 1920, and he was very conveniently attacking people to do and behave the way he wanted. He says that I attach the same people to non-violence that I did then, and he emphasizes over new resolutions and various other things, right? If I want to read, I remember recalling certain lines of Martin Luther King Jr. in his speech in 1960s, right, had great impact on people. Being American and being coming from a Baptist background, he had people convinced of what America can be. What you see America as a superpower today, right, would not have been superpower if the dream was not instilled by Martin Luther King Jr. into the mind of people. He has actually sown the seeds to it. So if I want to, state few lines from his speech, I would say that this is how Martin Luther King said, okay, I have a dream which is going to associate every one of you and I. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted and every hill and the mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain and crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of Lord shall reveal. All the flesh shall see it together. So, talking about equality, talking about different roads which are crooked to make them straight. He says that I have this dream where everything could be put to, a good form, then it already exists, and everyone, you and I, are going to see it together, okay? He says that I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in the nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today, right? This is what he says in 1960. And it can go on and on and on, right? I do not have the whole content of the speech right now. We'll definitely see while analyzing the speech, but see how an orator, I have a dream. So you had a dream. What am I supposed to do? We cannot, his dream was connected, his dream was associated to the audience listening to it, right? Towards all the citizens of US. So then now you know that being, talking about color of the skin, who he was, you can imagine of which color, right? And again, at the same point of time, connecting the audience with emotion. So, history of good orators and their styles, though they may differ in tonality or in the commanding mannerisms, or be it respectful mannerisms, it must have four basic characteristics. And those four basic characteristics is every speech or every orator must you make use of emotions. Okay, then must have clarity and simplicity in delivering the speech, has to have powerful rhetoric, right? Ethos, pathos, logos, and at the same point of time, confidence and presence of mind. Okay, how to engage with the audience. If you have these four characteristics, connecting with the audience with at a deeper level, right? If you use good emotional, content, if you have good emotional intelligence, the ability to connect with the audience will increase. And once you connect with the audience at a deeper level, there are very less chances of an orator to be a failure. So emotional connect is the one thing. Then we have clarity and simplicity in terms of straightforwardness. Say what you want to say, do not beat around the bush, right? So speeches are not for manipulation. Speeches are there for you to give out the information, deliver, cater your thoughts, opinions, and everything in the straightforward manner, right? Again, powerful rhetoric, repetitions, metaphors, and storytelling. Why, where, when, which particular word to be repeated again. Everything will make a difference. So, confidence and presence. of mind, right? Engaging with the audience through the voice and the language is also equally important. So we need to understand all of these factors, right? Be it Martin Luther King Jr. or be it Mahatma Gandhi, right? All of them, history of good orators has always been with us, right? All we need to know is how to analyze the speeches that they have given and try to do declarations of it. Try to read out different speech in different format. Okay. Good orators will give you a good content, a good speech, but at those good speech, if not delivered perfectly, would not make that much of sense. So therefore, please ensure that we do voice modulation. Please ensure to involve the audience. Please ensure to prepare good content, and please ensure to make it emotionally connected to everyone, right? So that is what the art of oratory is, right? And why is it necessary? Again, I would say it is necessary because it is an underlining skill. Oratory skills are the underlining skills of how are you going to give presentations, how are you going to give this, group discussions, your interview, this, that, everything. So, these oratory skills are very important, and it's not only the speeches to be given at public spaces, but it is also somewhere able to help you to connect with the other person in the part of the conversation, any kind of formal conversation. Oratory skills are also part of kind of a formal conversation, but here the you know there's complete accountability and responsibility that lies on the shoulder of an orator, one who is speaking, so that there could be, everything that we say gives up a highlight of who we are. And while we are representing our thoughts and, our, ideas, we need to be very ensured that we are not disrespectful towards who we are not, right? So, therefore, um, there are so many things that we have covered. You need to see all of these things, and let's move towards the summary.
So, this is the time of summary now. Encapsulating everything that we have learned in today's session is crucial, right? What is our today's takeover is very simple. To be a good orator, it is very much required to implement five major rules, right? Which are the five major rules that we have counted on our fingertips, right? It counts from various ends, right? Your intention, your time, your people, and how do we choose. So all these five important things are very much required to be analyzed and to be implemented by the orator at the speaking. We have already learned that. We are going to see, how to control the uncontrollable aspect of the speech. Now, that uncontrollable aspect of the speech is basically the audience, how they would react, how they would enact, how they are going to respond to the words that you have said, right? So, all of this is very difficult to hold, and therefore it is understood to be an uncontrollable aspect, but good orator always know how to control it. So there is no uncontrollable aspect, but rather only the skills that are required, right, to see in forth and control, that will bring the success of the speech. Again, it's important to note that oratory skills can help connect individual with large audience at a time. Do not forget the digital footprint that people might leave in the age of digital era, right? And you need to, in the age of technology where everything is going to be on internet, everything can far reach out to multiple people at the time without knowing that this is happening, things might happen, right? So no matter what precautions you might take of, we have various stand-ups, right, speakers who are there and who have always mentioned that please do not take videos, photos, and these are the disclaimers. And even though whatever you might say, there will be few who might take it, and if it goes on internet, it stays on internet. So please understand that it's not about just the oratory skills, but the awareness of what you have in hand, the impact that you have, right? And the outreach that you can have with the words that you speak. So therefore, oratory skills, you need to understand, it helps an individual, whoever the orator is, to connect with a large audience at one single point of time. Be it, again, there is no age, there is no caste, there is no gender that can discriminate this level of audience. When we speak of audience, it is amalgamation of all. So that is also what is important to be noted, right? And at the end, you need to know that mastering oratory skills can bring revolution, have short-term and long-term societal and global impact. Now that we have understood and analyzed the different aspect of our audience, it is very crucial for us to know that this again, go back to the initial sessions that we have covered, right? It is the rhetoric, and it is the complete command over the audience that the orator has. So therefore, when we have this huge of responsibility, if you are growing to become a good orator, right, if you have this oratory skills, if you develop this oratory skills, it is our ethical responsibility and duty to pass the message correctly, right? Yes, it can bring revolution, but where it is required to be brought, no, and address that, right? Unnecessarily in infuriating somebody, offending somebody, targeting a group of audience, right? Which can lead to rather more chaos than bringing out solutions. Why are we learning these oratory skills? We are learning these oratory skills because we need to, definitely, there is a high need and demand of connecting to people at large. But at the same point of time, it is very much important for us to understand that, while we are bringing this revolution through our words, while we are bringing this upliftment through our words, we need to be careful of what message we are passing out. So hoping that we all grow best in our oratory skills, and that this session might have helped you to grow from at least where we are, and to become a better version as an orator for tomorrow. So thank you for holding your patience throughout, and at the same point of time, I would like to say that be ready for the next session. It is going to be very interesting, right? It is definitely, it's not just talking on PPT and screens, it is going to be listening, active listening, and identifying, analyzing. So please hold your breath for the next session, and thank you once again.